Hi, everyone. Welcome to the University of the Rockies Library. I'm Sharon Tawney, Director of Library Services, and I'm here to show you our SAGE Research Methods online tool. You may have already heard about this from your faculty as it's recommended a lot, and you may have been curious about how to use this database for your research projects. So to start with, let me take you inside and show you around. I'll start by sharing my screen so that you can follow along and see all the features of this online tool. Okay, so here on the University of the Rockies Library page, you'll see a red navigation bar at the top here, and there's a second link there that says Find Articles and More. You'll want to click on that one. Okay, once you click on that, it'll take you to this page here, and it says Databases A to Z. Go ahead and click on that one, which will take you to this page with an alphabetical list. And on this list, find the letter S and click on that, which will take you to this page. So from here, you can click on SAGE Research Methods. Not the SAGE Journals Online above it, that's a totally different database. Instead, click here where it says SAGE Research Methods. Okay, so while we are in the database now, why don't I tell you a little bit about this award-winning tool? So by now, at your level of education, you may be used to searching our library databases to find like specific articles or books or videos for your course assignments. This database, however, is somewhat different. You can still search for books and videos, but it's really an online source for learning about the research process itself. So if you're working on a project or a dissertation that requires original research, this is probably going to be one of your best resources. The purpose of it is to help you design research projects and to understand research methods. It's useful for doctoral students who are enrolled in social and behavioral science programs, and it's also useful for faculty and professional researchers who may need to write up their own methodology for, say, publication in research journals. So it's a pretty unique product, and the best part is that it's very easy to use. Okay, it might help for me to start by giving a brief tour of the contents of this database. The good part is that everything is available from this landing page. It doesn't become confusing and you don't have to keep clicking further to find what you need because they designed it so that everything, at least from the start, can be found from this home page right here. The first option I'd like to point out is the browse link right here on the top of the website. This browse link allows you to narrow your ideas by a variety of topics listed here on the left or by discipline listed right here in the center. And that might be useful because different methodologies are often used by different disciplines. On the right-hand side too, you'll see that you can search by content type. So they've listed things like little green books and little blue books, which are about quantitative and qualitative research methods. But also we have things like reference materials, which include dictionaries and encyclopedias. There's also journal articles, data sets, case studies, videos, and even a project planner, many of which I'm going to demonstrate for you in the next few minutes. So you can use these browse options, or you can use the search box right here, prominently featured in the middle of the page. And this also includes an advanced search feature, which you might have encountered in previous course assignments. So you can use either one of these, and I should note though that instead of like searching for a usual topic to find your results, you're probably going to be searching more for like a methodology or like a statistic that you might want to use. A little further down the page, you'll encounter this section that says I want to right here. And this is kind of the main area where you're going to choose items to explore, either for background knowledge or for real practical exercises to get you going in the right direction. So for example, this first one here says I want to, and it says read books. So if you click on that one, you'll see that it's going to pull up a lot of the classic and cutting edge books about different types of research methods. So this is useful if you feel like you need to read up more or just maybe pick apart the many different aspects about research. And on this results list, you'll see it says action research, covert research. There's a lot of SAGE handbooks about online research methods or qualitative research in psychology, so it's very specific in some cases. And for all of these books, what's nice, and here I'll click on one, like say this first one here about action research. What's nice about these books is that once you click on them, you can jump to different chapters within the book. For example, like say chapter 2. You can click right there by just clicking on that list. You can also use the citation tool here on the right-hand side in purple to generate a citation or to export it to a citation management tool. You can also share it to social media if you really want to, or you can even download it as a PDF to look at it later once it's been downloaded to your computer. Okay, back on the home page, there's also a section here that says, I want to, say, see a video. And it's cute that they cleverly named it Watch Methods Come Alive. So if you click on the video section here, you'll see that there's a lot of things that you can look at. And in most sections too, they allow you to search by method or discipline or video type. So for this search, why don't we choose method, and let's choose something like research ethics. Once you click on that one, you'll see that it pulls up all different types of videos, and these are done by research experts. A lot of them are instructors from leading institutions, so it looks like it's pretty credible and authoritative work. For example, we can search maybe, actually let's click on objectivity and subjectivity in social research, for example. So if you click on that video, you'll see that they give you different segments, which you can choose to watch any of them. They show the running time of them. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there's a transcript available for every one of those sections. And it's nice too because all of these are closed captioned as well. Okay, and what if you want to just find a good definition? Maybe you're still kind of starting your process. Well, in the next section here, it says, I want to find quick answers and definitions by searching one of our research dictionaries or encyclopedias. So what's good about our book listings is that you can always limit your search using the options on the right-hand side. This allows you to narrow your results and receive results that are more relevant to what you're searching. So for example, if you wanted to just select books about anthropology, you can click just that and it will narrow those results. Also, if you wanted to find publications within a certain date range, you can also use these little slider bars and narrow your results that way as well. There we go. So that again would be one of the quick ways that you can perform an advanced search in order to get the information that you're looking for. Scrolling down on these results, let's see if we can choose one, for example, Encyclopedia of Research Design. All of these books allow you to search within the contents of the book. So again, they're just trying to help you get to your information fast. So when you search within, there's this search bar here on the left-hand side. It says find in this encyclopedia. And for example, you could type in, say, histogram. And it's going to pull up the results from that encyclopedia so that you can quickly click on it and find out what that means. And you'll see that it kind of pulls up something very familiar to you that looks like a lot like a bar graph. There you go. So like a bar chart or a bar graph. In addition, they have things like, say, the Reader's Guide if you want to go by a broader term or a different subject, or if you want to be really specific, you already know the term, and you can click on the entries A to Z and find it alphabetically to click on something that maybe you're searching for. Okay, and back on our homepage again, you might be asking, well, what are these little green books and little blue books that you've mentioned? So here it is right here on the I Want To section, little green books and little blue books. These are books published by SAGE, and they're actually really wonderful for learning about these research methods. They provide clear explanations and commentary about theoretical and practical considerations, and they're, I think, called little green books and little blue books because they're generally very brief. They're a quick read, although sometimes they're filled with a lot of good pertinent details. So feel free to check these books out. They're another way to obtain lots of good background information for your projects. So you can already tell that this database is a great place to start if you're still learning about the research process itself. It's also a great place to start if you need to figure out how to approach your subject and what steps you might need to take to develop your project. You know, I get the feeling that in addition to learning about your discipline, many of you are also learning about learning, right, and how to articulate your process. So this is a great tool for that because you might be thinking, well, this is all fine and good for background knowledge, but I also need something that maybe relates to my own project, or an example perhaps of something that someone else has done that can show me the way, right? So, okay, that's what's actually really valuable about SAGE research methods. It's that it offers you more, and it offers you exactly that. So here again in the I want to section, they've given you a few items that can directly relate to your studies and the process that you're going through. One of the most useful items is this one here called cases. If you click on this one, you'll see that it allows you to learn from real research. You can actually read about other people's experiences and what they chose to study. A lot of these are even written in like first-person narratives, so it feels very personal, and you get to go through the process with them. So again, just like in the other subjects, you can browse by method or by discipline or by academic level, including postgraduate level studies. So for example, if we, in this case, chose to browse by discipline, and let's see, maybe we choose psychology, you'll see that you get many results from that search. And let's see if we can scroll down here and find a good case study. Why don't we choose, say, for example, this second one, a case study of 3 working mothers using interviews and activity logs for work-family research. When you click on this one, you'll see that it follows a really nice format. At first, it'll give you the abstract and learning outcomes, but in the overview, it also includes sort of the thinking process of this researcher. They talk about the research questions that they chose to explore, and then they even go down into how they designed their study and the methods that they used. So they talk about that. They talk about how they analyze their data. Sometimes they include a lot of this data right here in the article. And then they later on talk about self-reflection and some of the lessons learned. So of course that's really helpful as well. And then further down too, they talk about some of their experiences and provide for you exercises and discussion questions in case you want to reflect further or discuss it with your group or with the team members or just with others in general. Another element I want to bring up was that when you look at these case studies, it might be useful that if you find something kind of similar to your study, that you look at their readings and references. The good part is that you can mine these references and further your own research. Sometimes this is a good way to find some seminal works or to detect some of the current trends going on in the field. So that's also a useful tip. So do you see how these might be useful to you as you move through your dissertation process? All of these tools can help support your efforts and support your work and try and get you to where you want to be, a lot quicker than if you were kind of just pulling things randomly. They're trying to be kind of a one-stop shop for you to find everything you need, whether it's background research or, again, some of these more hands-on things that'll apply to your own studies. Okay, so let's look at another interesting area. Here in the I Want To section, again, we find one here called data sets. And what's nice about data sets is that it's some actual data from research projects that you can use to practice your own data analysis. It's giving you the chance to see some of that raw data and then apply it to a project. So again, this one allows you to research by method, by discipline, or by data type. And just for the sake of practice, I'll click on data type so we can try searching through that method. And let's choose focus group transcripts. Okay, and on this results list, how about if we choose the first one here, analyzing focus group data, higher education lecturers and their thoughts on seminars. Okay, here it is. This is the data set that's produced. And again, this one follows something similar to the case studies where it gives you an abstract and it talks about their project. What's interesting about this one is they talk about the data exemplar, the focus group, how they did individual data analysis, and then what's really interesting is that they will outline step by step the process that they took, how they kind of looked at their data, what they decided to select, what sort of themes started to emerge, and they go through this whole process step by step, and a lot of it is even in first-person narrative again, so that you really do feel like you're understanding, the process when you conduct it yourself. Okay, and also another nice part too is that at the top, besides this overview, they also will give you the data set and guide. So here's the second tab here. If you click on that, you'll see that you can download the overview, again, if you want to follow along, and you can click on the data exemplar, download, and then open it. And once you open this document, you'll see that they're providing you with the actual raw data that they had used. So it looks like from this focus group that they had a lot of topics to consider, and then there's some excerpts directly from their interviews. So you'll see that they provide this data, and you can read through it, and then when you read their overview, you'll see how they applied it. One other thing I wanted to mention too is that not only do you kind of learn from case studies and from these data sets and practicing your skills, but you can also learn about making connections and continuing along the path, of your thought to find like deeper answers. There's this thing here on the right-hand side called Sage Recommends. If you click on that, it's going to pull up a lot of content that's related to what you were just looking at. So if you're interested in focus groups and how they use their data, it's already pulling up other related topics just like this. The benefit of that is it's sometimes a good way to get your thoughts together when you're learning and discussing and things. Your thoughts can go in all sorts of directions. So this is giving you a tool. They're just trying to make it easy for you to connect to other things and to keep on researching deeper to find some answers if you're already thinking about this topic. Okay, now you might be saying, well, that's great. I did some background research in Sage. I looked at some case studies so I know what to expect. I practice using data sets. Okay, what do I need to do now to get my own research project going? So here on the I want to section again, and it's interesting that they put this at the very last box here because it's one of the most popular options. It's called Design a Research Project. When you click on this, it's going to take you to a page that walks you through the steps for developing your own research. So here on the left-hand side, you'll see that they very clearly outlined the philosophy of research, right? How do you approach your research? Defining your topic, reviewing the literature, developing a researchable question, how do you actually do the research design, planning and practicalities, research ethics, data collection. There's so much here, right? There's at least 10 different categories. It even talks about writing it up, and then what do you do from there? So it's a really clear outline for each stage. And here, like you say, if you got stuck on the literature review, you can click on this section, and you'll see that they kind of take a very frequently asked questions kind of approach, where they'll list some of the common questions and concerns people have. Do I need to do a lit review? What type of literature should I use? What is gray literature? Or even here, how do I keep everything organized in a bibliography? So it's very clear answers, and they give you a lot of resources and things that you can link to if you need to work on that section. I would highly encourage you to have a look at this tool and make this available at all times when you're working through your process, because it's a great guideline for your studies. And again, this database gives you educational materials to improve your research skills, but it also gives you some real-world hands-on tools so that you can get started and progress in a more efficient and informed manner. You can approach it by just looking at all sorts of materials according to your discipline, or you can approach it by investigating which method you may want to use, or you can use it to review what others have done with similar topics and their lessons learned. And even if you've already done some of your own research, you can still use this tool to guide you through the process of gathering all your notes and your ideas and your data into something cohesive and meaningful and hopefully brilliant, right? So it's kind of an all-in-one resource, as I mentioned before, and that's why you'll often hear about this database and why it's so highly recommended by your instructors and fellow students. Alrighty, so that's really a pretty meaty section there. I just want to show you one more very useful tool, and probably this is the one that people often talk about. So once you pass the I want to section, you'll see something here that's called Methods Map right here on the landing page. So if you're not sure what method you want to use, you can access this section to brainstorm and sort of narrow down your topic if you're afraid that it might be too broad or maybe unfocused. You can click here where it says Explore the Methods Map. And in the box at the top of the page, actually the one that's right here on the right-hand side, kind of in the top, kind of in the middle of the page, you can type in a keyword. So for example, if I typed in, say, analyzing qualitative data. then you'll see that it's going to show you a very visual and color map and show you how concepts relate to each other. So in the center, it's a term that you search, maybe a modified term, but similar to the one that you search. And then there's a word that'll indicate the broader topic on the left-hand side, as well as some subtopics and narrower terms related to your topic on the right-hand side. So you can see that there's a lot of different things surrounding this, and it might be worthwhile to kind of research each one. So here's what you can do. You can view more if you want to see more details. And you can click on one like, say, thematic analysis or coding or content analysis. There's all sorts of things related to the term you were searching for. And by the way, too, once you're clicking around, again, Sage is trying to make it easy for you. So if you ever, feel like maybe you've clicked too much, it's hard to get lost because down below here it says recent history, and it will record the steps that you've taken in case you want to go back and forth and kind of research in that way. So, okay, let's click on one. Let's click on, say, thematic analysis. Okay, so you'll see again that there's the broader term of qualitative data analysis on the left side. You'll see that there's a narrower term related called constant comparison. So again, it's just kind of helping you form the relationship of all these different concepts and how you want to apply them. You can read a brief description on the top. And if you wanted to see more, you can view here some of the content about this term. So this is going to take you now again to things like probably journals or books about this topic. Okay, and again, you can click on an entry. So for example, why don't I choose, say, this book here. Once you click on this book, you'll see that you can jump ahead to a chapter. And in fact, I think in this case, it's going to jump ahead. There we go. Okay, so it's going to jump ahead for you. When we were searching thematic analysis, it jumps ahead into the book to that chapter regarding that keyword. You can also download the chapter or print it or save it to your computer. And by the way, too, if you find something that you like, you can also, at the very top of the website, create your own profile. Right here, this green button, if you want to create your own profile by including your email address and some basic information, what this does is it allows you to create your own reading list or to save your searches, and that way you can come back later and find the information that you were looking for. It's just trying to save you the steps and from having to start your search all over again. So it's kind of it's kind of like an advanced user know-how. If you created your own profile, you're probably considered a real power searcher. And in fact, too, just as a side note, if you really like Sage research methods and you really like social networking, there's this fun thing. I'll go back to our homepage. There's this fun thing called Method Space. Method Space is something that Sage Research is creating on their own. See, it's on the very bottom of the page. If you click on that, you'll find that it's their own community of researchers that talk about this tool, but you can also sign up for a class or create a discussion or read some of their blogs. There's some pretty interesting stuff. So it's kind of useful if you just want to kind of find other people who are going through the same research process that you are, or if you really just like it and you want to geek out with other research fanatics. So this is also kind of a fun space. Okay, but back on our Sage Research Methods homepage, something else too that I wanted to show you just here that we're kind of wrapping up the end of this session, and it might be something that you want to do for the remainder of the time. It's called Which Stats Test. So here up in the research tools, you'll see Which Stats Test. Click on that. And this is kind of a fun thing to do if you're wondering what statistical task is going to be most important for your research. So it asks you a few brief questions, and it will suggest, an appropriate test that you can use and a description of that type of test. So for example, here I'll walk you through one. Say it's going to ask you, what is the purpose of your analysis? It might ask you how many groups are you comparing? And it might ask, is your data paired or unpaired? What measurement level is your outcome variable? And then once you answer these questions that are pretty basic, then it'll start to recommend the type of test for you. So in this case, it's saying that you should probably, or we recommend that you use independent test samples t-test. And it gives you some of the basic definitions or a link to find out more about it. So that's also something that's kind of a nice tool if you think that you need some help in this area. Okay, so that's a pretty detailed overview of how to use SAGE research methods for your studies. I hope you found this useful and see how it can help you further your project goals. I would encourage you to have a look and to spend some time delving into everything that it has to offer. You know, many people don't really realize how much thought and consideration goes into the research process, so it's always a good idea to set aside some quality time to really explore these resources and make good use of it during your journey through the dissertation process. I know that it can be challenging and intense, but hopefully it will also be one of the most rewarding and life-changing experiences you undertake as part of your education. Our library team is here to assist you and offer all the support that we possibly can to help you succeed. Come visit our library website often and reach out to us whenever you need. Okay, thank you for attending this session, and we'll see you next time.